Hi there, Ronnie here, coming at you with a video. Um, as I said the other day, uh, last night we finished our game of Memento Mori, which was being run on the Pair of Geeks 2 YouTube channel and was being run by Giorgio with myself, Jason, and Phil as players. As usual, I'll break down what I thought of the scenario and the system, what I thought of the GM, what I thought of my playing. First of all, the Memento Mori is a very, very interesting system. One of the things that got me intrigued by it was I have a setting for Savage Worlds. Um, Called Ultima Forsan, which is also a translation of an Italian game, as Memento Mori is, and is also set in a slightly skewed version of the plague, the Black Plague. Um, so I was intrigued. For me, it's an interesting period. So I was interested to see a different take on that same period. Um, the game itself is currently in Italian. As far as I'm aware, it's been kickstarted for an English edition. So we were playing. There's an English language quick start set of rules. So they're not complete, but it was enough to get a feel for it. It's very much a narrative system. This whilst there is dice rolling, which dice you roll, which attributes and skills and so on that you roll in any given situation, um, aren't specific to a situation. Um, it's more to do with your motivation in doing a particular action. Um, you it are you attempting to deal with a situation purely logically, or are you inspired more by your emotions rather than logic? Um, and that will determine which stats that you're using and so on. Um, so yeah, I like that. Um, I thought that was a good system. I really liked the system. I think I would want to maybe play another game of it um, to really get into it. But I was enjoying it. In terms of the actual setting, what is interesting about it and what certainly grabbed me was whereas in most role playing games, not all, but most, you take your character from humble beginnings and they become this great figure of the realm or the galaxy or the world. Whereas Memento Mori, um, you're playing people who have the plague, for which there is no known cure. So your characters are dying. They only have a few weeks, months at best. Um, and it's really the role playing is more you can still be a hero, but it's a hero without reward. It's uh, you're being a hero because that's who you are. That in your final moments of life, those final weeks and months, you have pledged yourself to do good rather than do evil. Um, or do you become a complete nihilist and just, I'm dying and I'm taking the world with me? And I find that sort of psychologically fascinating to play that sort of character in that sort of scenario. So I found the setting interesting. Um, the scenario we were involved in was all set in the southern counties of England. Uh, so it was an area we kind of all knew, and we were very intrigued by it. It was a good mystery. There was a nice twists and turns. Uh, yeah, really well written scenario. Some genuine moments of horror and tension. Some quite emotional, impactful moments. It was a really good scenario. I really enjoyed it. Um, Credit goes to Giorgio. Um, Giorgio, um, who lives in Italy, and English is very much a second language, and I think sometimes he does worry that his English is not the best, and as I keep reminding him, uh, his English is far better than some native speakers. So that's you should never worry about that. He was an excellent GM. He really thoroughly understood the period and the tone he was going for, which is absolutely essential. Um, and whilst there was humour, it was more gallows humour. It was the humour that comes from if you don't laugh at the horror, you'll go mad, rather than humour being used inappropriately. Um, the humour was a defence mechanism, and it was really it was a really tough scenario, and I think he handled it all very well, and he handled the scenario well. He built the atmosphere well. Yeah, brilliant. Um, it's the second time I've played a game with Giorgio and with Giorgio as GM. The first time was when he did a short Pathfinder scenario, and that was so different because that was designed to be. It was being run as we did a break from the Machinal Athatep campaign, and it was very much a sort of palate cleanser. It was very reverential. There was jokes flying all over the place, and he was very sort of loose and free form. With this one, it was very tighter, a lot more focused. Um, People might think there was a little bit of railroading going on. I don't actually have a problem with that. Um, where the intent is to invoke horror, but it never felt like a railroad. It always felt like we had not control, but you know what happened was due to our choices rather than anything else. So really enjoyed the scenario. Really enjoyed Giorgio as GM. Um, My gaming. I'm always nervous about this bit because usually I'm very critical. Um, I think I did all right for once. I I played a a monk, and I was playing a monk who was very much passive. I remember last time I played a monk, it was the super priest when we did advanced fighting fantasy, and we did super priest, and essentially he was I front loaded the stats because we were getting points every session. I just put my stats into my sort of quarterstaff that I had, and my sort of magic from my faith. And by the time two or three sessions came in, I was only rolling when it came to casting spells or hitting to see whether I fumbled. Other than that, it was going to be a success. So he ended up getting nicknamed Super Priest. But Brother Jerome the Gentle was not Super Priest. He was very much. I think possibly the reason that I went very well with it is because it's the first time in one of these games I have played a character who's very much like me. Religious affiliation aside, because I don't have a religious affiliation, he was more the kind of character that I would play. Because he was more like me. I imbued him more with my sensibilities and my ideologies. And I made a conscious choice not to get involved in any sort of combat. Um, I was always there to try and dissipate. And I was a monk, but I wasn't a healer. I was a diplomat and scholar. My prowess wasn't in combat or healing. It was in trying to find common ground with others, trying to dissuade others from violent action. And I really enjoyed playing that character. He was a different challenge. Um, but he was also more me than I've probably ever played. As I say, sort of religious affiliation aside. So I'm actually quite proud of the fact that I created a very much a pacifist character, and I stuck to my guns throughout the entire scenario. He was never violent. He didn't suddenly stand up and with fleet of foot, pile drive enemies into oblivion. Um, he was very much a pacifist, and I like that. I'm very proud of my work. Um, so the next scenario is me running Star Wars. I'll talk more about that when we do session 0. But as far as Memento Mori, really enjoyed it. Good system, interesting system. Um, I don't know if it was a system. It's a system I would own, not because I have anything negative about it, simply because I own Ultima Fosan, which sort of covers the same ground and uses Savage Worlds, which I know well. That's the only reason I would not own Memento Mori. But if you're someone who likes a sort of quote unquote realistic sort of look at the sort of medieval Renaissance period, um, and isn't, you know, with some sort of Celtic myth and lore involved, um, but has a real grounding. Memento Mori could be worth a look when it comes out here in the UK, or English language version. But yeah, love the scenario. Uh, Georgia held us well, great GMing. Really proud of my work as with my character. Uh, Hope I didn't dominate proceedings. There were moments where I was worried that I was kind of dominating things, but I'm hoping that wasn't the case. But anyway, really enjoyed it. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll be back soon with another video.